Today's TrueFire artist spotlight is Mike Dawes. Mike is an English guitarist known for composing, arranging, and performing multiple parts simultaneously on a single guitar. He is hailed as one of the world's most creative modern fingerstyle guitarists, with a repertoire spanning solo viral videos and popular arrangements, alongside mainstream chart successes, performing with Justin Hayward of the Moody Blues. Today, we'd like to feature 3 free lessons from Mike's courses: Progressive Fingerstyle Essential Riffs, First Steps, and Next Steps.
Alright, let's break that down. Well, to begin with, we have the melody, which we actually looked at as an example in my previous course. I keep saying those words, previous course, as if you haven't picked up the previous course here on TrueFire already. Silly sausages. Anyway, the melody itself is played down here using multiple strings to make a nice legato feel. And we have our 4th fret in our bass there. We're going to arpeggiate the bottom string, the open G string, and that melody note together using our thumb, index, and middle. Now we're going to get an offbeat note using our pinky on fret 5 on the D string as well. See that? I love using little offbeat notes to fill space, okay? Now the good thing about that is it's the same note as the G string, but it's on a different string, which means that it doesn't really sound like a repeated note, but harmonically it doesn't add anything distracting from the melody. Okay, so that's why I did that. I want to make sure that you understand why these decisions are made. I could have gone, but that would have sounded very different to the fluidity of doing it like this, okay? So after we've done that, we're switching shapes, arpeggiating another chord, doing a similar approach there with that offbeat D string note, okay? So the arpeggio is open G string, pinky on 3rd. The offbeat note is this D string fret 2. Then I'm going to start getting liberal with strumming, because I love this tuning. I love the open strings. Big downstroke, or upstroke rather, with the thumb. But the important thing to note here, as we're hammering on these 2 fret 2 notes and picking that open 2nd string, same reason as the not repeating the G string but playing the same note on a different string, it has this profound legato effect. I love it. The thing to notice is that I'm actually muting the A string from ringing. This is not ringing, this is not being allowed to ring. That would have sounded muddy. It's much better. Much better this way, guys, okay? Especially if you're using an octave pedal. Open G string, and then this hammering on the same strings, just on fret 4. Then this little run here is a nice bit of vibrato on both strings. Pick, pick, pull off. Hammer, hammer. Pick, pick. Okay. Same again. But a little lick there. I love adding in these little licks. So it's a little hammer on and pull off sequence at the end of that arpeggio. Open G string. Annular, the ring finger picking the top string, and then that 2nd finger pulling off to reveal the open 2nd string. Same again with that little strum, that little attitude strum, the baditude strum. Okay? But this time, we're going to partial bar fret 4, 4, 4, 4. This being the melody note. And we just descend that little arpeggio just to enforce that. Okay? After that, we get into the fun stuff. Okay? We're going to strum this beautiful chord, 4, 4, 4, 5, open, open, 5. That's a partial bar on 4 with our index. We're going to then tap the D string and the D string, the 2 D strings, double D. And the offbeat note is going to be hammered on. This is something I like to do in the bass register. If my fingers are all busy but I need some kind of extra momentum, I'll throw in another note. And if my hands are busy, I'll do it in the bass register. Boom, boom, boom. It sounds like a bass player would play it, right? That next note in the melody, down, 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 that's the melody, you know, is played by pulling off downwards. Getting resonant strings is absolutely okay. The rest of the melody sounds like this. I've got to get up to there. How am I going to get up to there? Big fat 12th fret harmonics, okay? If possible, try and get that G note open. A lovely G major chord there, just by using the open tuning. There's nothing better. Well, I can think of a few things that are better. In life, not guitar. Now we have another case of playing our melody note, but filling the gaps with some arpeggiating, with some picking. The only thing that matters is that melody note, but we're filling it 5, 4, open, and then picking the open strings, keeping that momentum going, keeping that motor going, keeping the open strings and the arpeggios rolling, okay? Remember what I said about hammering the bass? Okay, that's hammer on 2 and 4, pick the open G string, hammer, 4. Change positions here. Make sure that second finger's playing that second fret on the D string. Big hammer up to 6. Continuing the melody. The melody is simply, but to make the bass interesting, I've thrown in a chromaticism, a little bit of movement that's something that a bass player that's really locked into the groove would do. Something that's a little bit outside the norm when it comes to traditional fingerstyle guitar. Okay, something I actually picked up from Tony McManus's Celtic arrangements. Remember that chord? Right? Really playing with the bass line now, going down to the open. Twinning fret 4 with the open G for the melody. Little grace note slide there before sliding up a tone to fret 6. Finalizing that section with a nice little arpeggio, which you will recognize from the B section of this song actually. A little rhythmic pattern to end. Bum, bum. The only real bit of percussion in this section, right? We have the note, a little offbeat accent just with the fingers striking the string behind the note. Now obviously when you strike a string in front of the note, you get a new note. But by touching the string behind the fretted note, you don't change the pitch at all. But you get a nice interesting percussive quality. Da-ga-ba-bum. Pick, accent, click, pick. Pick, accent, click, pick, okay? Let me play the whole riff slowly for you one more time. Try and pick out some of the things that I was saying, and also notice my intention when it comes to, especially towards the end of the riff, letting the bass line have a moment in the spotlight. Here we go. Okay, I love that riff. I'm really pleased with that as a melody and chord sequence. And in the song Cloud Catcher, if you're interested in checking it out or checking out the video, there's a whole lot of variations on that. A real exploration into this tuning, which again is C, G, D, G, A, D. Best of luck with it, and hopefully it'll inspire you to create something of your own in this tuning. Good luck. Okay, everyone, let's talk about Travis picking. Okay, I'm sure you've heard this phrase before, but if you haven't, let me give you the brief overview. Now, in the middle of the 20th century, there was an amazing guitar player named Merle Travis. Now, Merle Travis was the first person really credited with, on a wide scale, the use of separating that thumb and those melody fingers into creating these two different parts, specifically using the technique dubbed Travis picking, which typically involved a thumb jumping between, say, octaves or sometimes fifths on the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Almost creating a sound as if there was a kick and a snare, you know, sonically, that kind of thing. Meanwhile, the fingers would be able to play whatever, would be able to play like a rhythm guitar player, off the beat, some syncopation. Now, when people heard this on the radio, they didn't really know what to make of it, because some people would think it was two people playing, because they just weren't used to hearing that kind of guitar playing before. I actually just finished a tour with the great Tommy Emmanuel, and he was talking about this, about how when he first heard a Chet Atkins record, and I believe it was a Merle Travis record as well, he didn't know what really to make of it, you know. Now, Travis picking is typically played in the style of Merle Travis and players like Chet Atkins, that traditional American kind of country sound. Now, although I have played a few pieces like that in the past, it's not really a big part of my repertoire, but I do use the Travis picking technique, or at least the philosophy of an on-the-beat, perhaps sometimes octaved bass part. But I use it in an open tuning. I use it in the tunings that I like to play with. I like to use it with Celtic guitar, with modern fingerstyle guitar, and other genres as well, which I'm sure the Travis picking purists would frown at, or not necessarily frown at, but they might not call it Travis picking. Okay. Now, for this little exercise I'm going to play for you now, we're going to be tuned to Dadgad, almost, because we're actually going to drop the A string all the way down to a G. I like to call this my drum fill tuning. Duggadagad, okay? Duggadagad. D, G, D, G, A, D, okay? Why did we change that one string? Well, the context will reveal why, okay? Now, if I'm going to play a basic Travis picking pattern with my thumb, the same way you're about to right now, I would start with octaves. When we have two Ds readily available in this tuning, the octaves can be played like this. Notice my pinky for support, as always, okay? Give that a go. You can mute it, play it aggressively, you can play it lightly, you can play it open. It's all about the context. But practice that. Practice leapfrogging that fifth string, okay? Just like that. Think about it as a 4/4 rhythm, and you're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I mentioned there was a special reason for us changing that tuning. There is. Without having to use this hand at all, we can now change chords to a very pleasing progression by changing what we're picking to 5th string, 4th string, 5th string, 4th string, instead of 6th string, 4th string, 6th string, 4th string. That's a tongue twister. Listen to how this sounds. It's almost a full rhythm guitar part between two chords without this hand having to do anything at all. Okay. Now, when I was at university and I was getting into this style, I realized this because I wanted to start shredding with the left hand while the right hand was holding down the fort. What better way to hold down the fort than by playing open strings, which this hand has zero responsibility over. Okay. Let me give you a very basic exercise where the left hand's going to get involved in a very small way whilst we pick some notes, pick some treble notes with the right hand as well. See how you get on with this, okay? We're just warming up the engine. Here we go. change chord. Back to the first chord. So you see, by freeing up the chords themselves and giving that right hand additional responsibility by playing around with the tuning, we're able to move around very, very freely with minimal effort, okay? Give that a go and see how you get on. We're going to take this up a notch with an etude, taking influence from the Celtic tradition in the form of a riff from a song of mine from my first album named Forest Party. Best of luck. Let's check it out. Okay, so let's break that little sequence down. Now, the Travis picking aficionados among you will know that the first chord, and in fact the second chord as well, is very Travis picky. We're starting on the D chord here with this little pattern, which is a nice little kind of finger and thumb separation there, where we start with the index finger picking the B string at the same time as our thumb hits the G string. Okay? Then we have our second finger picking the top string in the gap between the thumb. Okay, so we have together, in between. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we have a pull off going from a D sus4 back to a D on that top string on the 3rd fret. We're then ultimately going to release it to reveal a D sus2 chord as the second finger comes off. The pattern in beats is something like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay? Okay, I'll explain this little sequence in a little bit more detail with the notes now. We're going to have that B string in the gap between the notes, so not together with a thumb, but in between. And then in between again, but that open E string, okay? So after that pull off, all the little melody notes are in between the thumb beats, okay? Okay, now we're going to go to a C-shaped chord, okay? Now, this shape here is using the same pattern as before in the right hand, okay? Same rhythmic pattern, just different strings. The thumb is going to be playing the 3rd fret of the A string, just like this, and then it's going to be playing the D string on the 2nd fret here. As before, on any 5-string chord, these are the notes that are going to be played by the thumb, okay? The melody notes are going to be the B string on the 3rd fret, okay, and then the 2nd fret on the top string. Now, in order to get this, you want to be doing this partial bar, okay, squeezing that first finger down to cover not only the fret that it's covering in the bass register, but also on the top as well. Okay? You can pick that with various fingers in this hand if you want. The 2nd finger and the ring finger are preferred. Now you could do the whole chord barred the whole time, but I like the idea of letting that D string ring a little bit, the D chord ring a little bit as you change, and only put the bar down as you're picking that note, okay? After that, we're going to get a nice little sequence of double stops in the top, in a very unsyncopated pattern, where we're playing at the exact same beat as the bass strings, in a very staccato way. You can actually mute between these with the right hand as well. So what's happening here is I'm going 3, 3, 3 with the pinky on top, almost outlining a C add 9 chord there. Then the pinky's coming off as that bar goes down again. And the thumb is picking the D string, okay? So that's... Okay, one more time. Okay, just like that. Nice and simple, a little bit of a funny shape, but you should be able to get it, okay? Now after that, we're going to get a nice little stretch as we pick some more double stops, but we're going to have the pinky stretching all the way out to the 5th fret on the B string. We're no longer doing the partial bar, so the wrist is moving forward. We're going to expose that top string, okay? And we're going to get this little pattern. We're picking the C note on the 5th string there, the open G string, which is why we can't have that bar anymore, and the pinky on the 5th fret. We're going to pull that pinky off to the 3rd finger and get a little offset Travis picking kind of thing there. So that whole chord sounds something like this. Okay, one more time but slower. Okay, a little bit of swing to it. Hopefully you've got that so far. A little bit strenuous, that wrist activity, but you should be good to go, given that you've had some practice Travis picking before, because you've got the other course, haven't you? You have. The one where I don't have a beard. Fantastic. Then we're going to go straight back into the finger swipe thing for the G chord. Same pattern as before that you should have under your fingers, but we're going to take the pinky off and we're going to have an E string on the top there, okay? Just to give it a little bit of extra flavor. Give it a bit of swing as well, why not? Alright guys, best of luck with that exercise. I hope it bodes you well, I hope it serves you well, and I hope your right hand and left hand come together in perfect synchronicity, just like a cinematic universe. Take care, see you in the next section. Cheerio.